Hi, my name is Angel Savage. Thank you for tuning in to Purpose on Purpose. Today we'll be discussing the matter of Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter. This has been a great debate for a long time, and I'm so honored and privileged to have the guests here today to actually talk about this. I'll allow the guests to introduce themselves. To my left, we'll start with my good friend,
Pastor Marcus Chambry,
Reggie Richmond,
Tony Vesna, Richard Patton.
and again, my name is Angel Savage. So first, for those that don't know about what Black Lives Matter is, it's a movement that started in 2013 after the acquittal of George Zimmerman shooting Trayvon Martin. It started with a group of 3 people that hashtag Black Lives Matter. And from that point, it went on to other matters. And of course, it got watered down along the way, and All Lives Matter is thrown into the matter. And so today, I want to know how people really feel when they hear Black Lives Matter. Like, what's your stance on it? Like, are you with the Black Lives Matter? Are you with the All Lives Matter? Or you on the fence about it? I know you being a pastor, I don't want you to play it safe. I want you to just keep it all the way 100, as if you didn't have the clergy collar.
like I said, I want to. About 3 years ago, I had made a post on Facebook, and it kind of sums up what my thoughts and my position is on this matter. So I would like to read that at this time. So it says, "Consider this. Yesterday we celebrated my youngest son Jameer's 7th birthday, and had a great time. I love my 3 sons, and I will protect them with my life. As I was thinking last night about Chief Kai and Jameer, their life and how precious it is, I became overwhelmingly sad with emotion as I thought about Alton Sterling, another black man that has been killed at a white police officer's hands, and how senseless of a killing it was. In that very moment, I went up to my boys' room and with tears in my eyes, hugged them tight and kissed them and told them how much I love them and value them, and then I prayed over them. I pray my sons will never lose me to this senselessness, nor will lose one of them to it. Listen, I do my best to think objectively about everything, and these racial matters are no different, so please don't mistake the passion and strength of my words as those of the subjectively misguided, looking to be a Facebook post hero or social media civil rights activist. And that talks a lot on Facebook, but their public silence deepens the problem. So this is not a post or rant on how much I hate the police. It is more tailored to the fact that I understand as a black man, being from the black community, that the misinformed perception of black men and our attitudes and actions contribute to the ideology that desensitizes society of our worth and value, which ultimately leads to our senseless deaths. I don't care what anyone says, black people do not deserve to be killed like animals. As a matter of fact, why are we feared? Is it our blackness? Is it our perseverance? Is it our strength? Is it fear that we can become educated? Is it our roots? Is it our faith? Is it our potential to rise from the ashes? Is it our creativity? Is it our giftedness? Is it our talent? Is it the fact that if we unified ourselves, we could change everything? Or to those who fear us, is it your insecurity? Is it your inability to completely eradicate us? We are the ones that lost everything. We are the ones that were enslaved. We are the ones that experienced Jim Crow. We're the ones overpopulating the prisons, and not because we are committing so many more crimes than other groups, but because we are being arrested at a higher rate. We're the ones being pulled over by police for no reason. We're the ones who are forced to learn a distorted view of history in schools that perpetuates an ignorance of ourselves and makes us appear powerless. We are the ones who are being labeled with behavioral issues because we learn differently. Having different learning style is very different than having a learning disability. And lastly, I don't want to hear the All Lives Matter rebuttal, and not because I don't believe that all lives matter, because they certainly do. However, all lives are not being taken at the same rate as black lives. All lives are not being threatened at the same rate as black lives. All lives are not devalued like black lives. There's a huge disparity in the lost lives of blacks and the loss of others. To those who are not black who wants to engage in dialogue with us on this issue, we welcome the honest dialogue, because I believe the start to changing things is through honest dialogue. But the opening statement to me on this issue should not be that all lives matter, because emphasizing the importance of how much your life matters when it's not even threatened during the time I'm expressing my pain and outrage that our lives are being taken is insensitive at best and condescending, arrogant, and intolerant at worst. Imagine Mother A, whose child was brutally murdered, and the pain she feels, and the pain that she feels. And then imagine Mother B, whose child's life has not been threatened in any way. Now imagine these two mothers meeting at an event and Mother A starts venting with outrage, pain, and anger about the murder of her child, and Mother B hears her and responds to her outcry with "My child's life, whom she still has, matters just as much as your child's life." Generally speaking, that is true, but the huge problem in this story is Mother A's child is dead, and Mother B's child is still alive. I'm sure you can see the insensitivity in the story and how outraged Mother A would be if Mother B engaged her this way. If you can see this, then you should also be able to see the level of insensitivity towards and the intolerance for the pain of the Black experience in America when you say all lives matter in the face of the senseless murders of Black males and the treatment of Black people in general, and why Black people cry, Black lives matter. I am not saying that Black people don't commit crimes and are not subject to the law, but what I am saying is that we should not be killed and murdered. And before Black on Black crime is mentioned as a rebuttal, check the statistics on white on white crime. And this goes for all racial groups. The reason there is a higher crime rate in the Black community, white community, Latino community, etc., is because people from the same racial groups live in the same neighborhoods.
That was good right there. And with that being said, usually we try to be a little bit dressy, but not too casual on the show. But I know you can see my shirt. And I bought this shirt yesterday, and I couldn't wait to wear it for this show. And on the back of my shirt, there's bullet holes. And it's hands up, I'm Black and unarmed, don't shoot. But yet, you shot me in the back. And that statement by itself says a whole bunch of stuff. You know what I mean? It says that there's some fear somewhere for a Black person to be shot in their back. You know what I mean? Like there's some type of power that person's seen that they feared, and so they felt that they would have to eliminate that person, which 9 times out of 10, with the statement being made with the shirt, it was for Black people. And because of the fear, they took these people's lives that died, whether it be Trayvon Martin. It wasn't the hands of the police officer, but yet and still, he still was treated as if he was a police officer because he was set free and had the rights of a police officer. And then there's other people. I don't even have to name drop because it was so many of them. The show was still going on for a couple of days of me just naming off people that were shot and killed by the police. And so, me personally, I feel like Black lives matter. But I feel like it has to start with us. You know what I mean? Like, I had a conversation with somebody earlier today, and he's actually here. He's not a guest, but he's here in the building. And we talked a little bit about it, and he said something that really made sense. And it starts with educating yourself and loving yourself. You know what I mean? And just getting to a place of knowing who you are. And so once you know who you are and you're educated, you can pass that love and that education on to other people and teach them who they are. And that way, once you know who you are and you can love yourself, you could build yourself up and you could build other people up. And then the hate is now being kind of dissolved a little bit. You know what I mean? Because knowledge is power. And so when you have the power of just knowing who you are, but just that by itself, if you have the power of knowing who you are, that's powerful. And it reigns supreme. And I feel like I wish that us as Black people, I wish that we could see what white people see in us. Because they see something that clearly we don't see. The fear that they have against Black people is a fear because they see some type of power in us that we don't see. I can't say all of us don't see it, but I believe the mass majority cannot see the power in ourselves that these people see. And so I asked Ray to come to the show because he's a young Black man, and it's a target on his back because he's a young Black man. A young, educated Black man is that. Do you feel like the police gonna stop you and ask you, are you educated?
No.
Do you fear the police?
I mean, I feel like every time I leave my house, every time I step out that door to go anywhere, I feel like there's some type of target on my back, you know, just because I'm a black man, you know. So it's like, and I feel like that I feel like I'm too important to too many people to just to be the next one, you know. So like that holds weight to me. You feel me? So like, but when I look into my nephew's eyes, and I always tell them, I always talk to them all the time, you know, try to teach them and educate them on how the world views them, you know, because whether we like it or not, the way a black man is viewed in this society, in this country, isn't the way it should be, you know. It's a target on each and every one of our backs. Whether it's police, whether it's us, you know, it's like, it's so many different angles coming at us. It's so many, like, you know, so it's just like, we gotta be, to a certain extent, gotta be better.
Right.
You know, like, we just gotta be better. We always gotta be on top of everything, you know, so, yeah.
Let me ask you, because you have tattoos and piercings, and so you're not the standard white guy. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not your normal white boy, really. You know, I've always been told by a lot of people, you know, hey man, you're a white boy, you have a lot of flavor. You know, you're different. You know, and I get what it's like to be judged by the way you look, because I get looked at because of my piercings, because of my tattoos, because of the way I dress, because I got ink on my face. You know, and you know, it irritates me to see people to be taken out of the sights of something for something they had no choice of. You know what I'm saying? Like, it really, like me, I can understand. Like, I put these on my face because, well, for one reason, I don't care what no one else thinks. If they wanna not like me for that, then okay, go ahead. I know why. But you know what I'm saying? To hate someone for who they really are and for who they were born to be is not right to me. And it fills my heart with hate to see people, especially black lives. You know, like, period, man. I got friends that are in the game that really scare me, man, because I care about them, and they're out there running with their homies or their turf or hood or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, you really want to keep living like that? You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you know what it's like to be you, and then I say, you know what it's like to be black and that? You know what I'm saying? That's just like doubling your risk, and it really hurts me to see that happen. You know what I'm saying? Police, normal people, man, even normal people, man. When I'm with some of my friends, I see them look at my friends and look at me, you know, and it boils my blood the way that they look at us like we don't belong, you know, because of my tattoos, the color of his skin. That's not fair, and I'm not okay with that at all, not one bit. I mean, I already got a hate for police and for people who discriminate anyways from my past life, but yeah.
What about you, bro? Like, have you ever been in a scenario where you had a black friend, you've seen something go down, and have you ever been in a situation where you were with a black friend and you've seen the police harass them? And if so, did they harass you too, or if ever been in that situation? If not, I mean, just what's your stance on Black Lives Matter?
Yeah, so you know, Kenneth asked me to dress all nice and stuff. You know, so I just want to kind of preface what I'm going to say by honoring that you guys asked me to come speak on this issue. Right. You know, and really what you said, I think it is probably the perfect way that I would state it. But you know, it took me time to arrive to this opinion where I'm at. You know, I was poor, but I grew up in an affluent white town, and so I carried, you know, the ideology that was shaped through my experience, right, and through my environment until I went to Portland Community College. And you know, I grew up in poverty, and I went through a lot of trauma, and I felt really insecure and discriminated against because I was poor. And anyway, so I had my struggle, you know, and I thought my struggle was unique, and it was about me and my pain for a long time. But when I got involved in student government, I got the opportunity to converse with multiple kind of minority groups or people who were more diverse than me. And through those
conversations and that exposure, I got to share my own struggle with being an addict, my mom dying, not having my father and stuff like that. And I got to hear other people's struggle and experience, and we honored that for each other. And so, where do I stand on Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter? Well, it depends in the circumstance and the conversation. If it's a conversation about Black Lives Matter, then saying all lives matter is really kind of messed up in a way. You know what I mean? If it's oppositional to that, it's like, okay, Black people, I understand, have had a struggle for a long time. I may have not been the person who created that, but I feel partially responsible for people, like all people, you know what I mean? I work in nonprofit. I feel like I want to be a servant to my community, and so I try to listen and honor people's experiences. I don't think y'all are going to be sitting here saying what you're saying if it isn't true. So it's got to be true, and so what can I do to help you? Now, like, if you want to unpack like capitalism and poverty, like, then people who are poor, we're all together and all lives matter in that sense, you know what I mean? Trying to overcome like systems of oppression. So that's kind of, my stance on it. What can I do when I know that there's been systems developed over time intentionally that are now disproportionately affecting people and disenfranchising them? And as a leader in my community, what is my role, and where do I have privilege at and power, and where can I exercise that to help people? That's kind of where I'm at with it. Now, as far as seeing stuff, I've seen circumstances where me being white provided me currency, you know what I mean, to a degree. Is that every circumstance? Nah, it's not everyone, but I see where it plays out. I see where people were, Black men I was in jail with were going to jail longer than me for the same type of sentences, you know what I mean? I was getting a ride. I've seen kind of policies play out at Portland Community College that had the greatest negative impact on African Americans, the LGBTQ community, especially. And so, did I stand up in certain circumstances? Yeah, when I was at PCC and I had influence and power and I was student body president, yeah, I advocated for people. When I was in jail and I had zero power, no, I didn't do anything then. I didn't really feel like I did, and that was kind of prior to me gaining education and knowledge about the subject and learning that I had a voice and I could, use it.
That's pretty dope. I like how one thing that you said, a lot of things that stood out, but I have a brother that went to jail and gave up 8 years of his life. And so, I have a heart for people that has been in that scenario of having to do time. And so the fact that you were able to admit that you've actually seen Black people get more time for the same crime that a white person did, that's crazy to me, but it's real. And I think it's more powerful for it to be heard out of your mouth that you've seen that, you know what I mean? Because you're a white man, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for you to say you seen that, you was there, that to me, that speaks in volumes, Because if we say it, it's like we're being crybabies.
Right.
Shut up, you guys are always saying that. Like it kind of don't have the same oomph that it has when it comes out of a white person's mouth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so one thing I wanted to say to you was, we almost had a bet that you would go with all lives matter because of your position of being a pastor. So somebody lost the bet because you actually on the Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, I think in order for us to properly perpetuate the narrative that all lives matter, you have to consider and value all lives. And the fact that Black lives are not being valued at the same rate as all other lives, then you can't logically say all lives matter while watching and looking at the disparity between Black lives and white lives or other lives. And so I think it's important for me in my position as a pastor to have a Christian worldview. I believe it's imperative that we as Christians we have to fight for the inequality of not only black people, but all people. So that's a part of our purpose, that's a part of our desire, that's a part of our responsibility. And so, yes, I advocate for Black Lives Matter because even though I'm a pastor, I'm a Christian, but when I walk out into the world, I'm a black man first.
That's right.
And so that's what I experience.
That's right.
So I have to navigate that experience as a black man, and so I feel the effects of that. And so how I respond to that is due to my faith in Christ. But at the same time, the reality is I'm a black man, I have to navigate that.
Right on.
Yeah.
Good.
Chill.
Roll.
So I got a question for Ray Ray.
Yeah.
So as a young black man, do you feel that you're more threatened by us when you step out the door or by the police?
That's a good question. More threatening?
Who have you had the most run-ins with, if any?
If any? Probably us. I have more run-ins with us more than the police.
What was their issue? Like, were they bangers or were they just?
No, nothing like that. I'm young, so I go out.
Right.
So it's like just like stuff like that. Nothing like bangers or anything like that. And then
Just what? Jealousy?
like you step on somebody's shoe or something, or just bump into somebody, look at them wrong or something like that. That's about it.
Who do you fear the most when you step out the door?
I feel the police.
So when a black person get behind you, do your heart race like
No.
you do when the police get behind you?
No, not at all. Like this was just yesterday. I was driving. And, a squad car had got behind me because yesterday was Saturday, so Saturday night they just pulling
busy.
people over.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like trying to meet their quotas and everything. So it's like my heart like dropped when they got behind me.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I'm just thinking in my head like, this is like, it's ridiculous that I'm really feeling this way just because they behind me,
Yeah.
Like nobody else, like anybody else get behind me, okay, it's nothing. But it's like when the police get behind you, it's like, okay, all right, I gotta really be alert. And it shouldn't be like that. It really shouldn't.
Tony, has that ever happened to you? Have you ever just got spooked when the police got behind you as a white man?
Well, yeah, but I grew up being a criminal, so it's still like that for me, So I don't know, but things have changed.
Yeah.
I'm still a little nervous, but I know that I'm gonna be all right. I think if you watch a comedy skit by Martin Lawrence, it's called Run Tell That.
Mm-hmm.
You should, if anybody watching this, they should watch it because he does it in a comedic fashion, but. He kind of explains the difference between how white people and black people will act,
Yeah.
The white people will be like, how dare you pull me over? But I get where you guys are coming from, you know what I mean?
Right. What about you, Ricky?
Yeah, I don't like it when the police are behind me, period. I mean, if I'm by myself or with someone else, mainly when I'm I'm my own worst enemy when that happens, man, because I don't, the police get no respect for me,
Yeah.
and plus I never have a license, so
Yeah.
I shouldn't be in the car in the first place.
Right. Right.
But yeah, no, I don't like it because it's one wrong answer, man, and it could go south.
Yeah.
You with somebody, you know what I'm saying? Say I'm with had a black friend of mine, you know what I'm saying? And when we got pulled over, I know him, you know what I'm saying? He's got long dreads, a face tattoo, you know what I'm saying? But he's cool, you know what I'm saying? But he got a mouth on him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He don't like the police either.
Yeah.
I gotta look at him like, bro, please, dog, like just like chill, forget that, you know,
Yeah.
like, you know.
Yeah.
And so it's just, it steps up to another level when the police get behind me, man, because it just takes one wrong or one misunderstood way or conversation or something going, and things can go completely wrong.
Yeah.
And me with face tattoos and stuff like that, and especially when they run my name, my family, my family gets no love, and I don't get it either, even though, you know. So the police, get behind me. I don't think there's ever been a time where I'm like, oh, I'm good. Yeah, no, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
please don't. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. Bad.
So I got a question, because you're a father. So you being a father, Pastor, have you had that conversation with your sons yet on how to behave, if ever, with the police?
Yeah, absolutely. I have had that conversation with my sons. They're still too young to drive, so they don't have that to worry about. I don't have that to worry about at this time. But they're in high school. My older two is in high school, so I have a 15-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 10-year-old. And so my 15 and 14-year-old are both in high school, and so they're wanting to go to the games, they're wanting to do different things now. So I'm more concerned about them now.
Yeah.
And so we have had those conversations about, for one, not being in large groups, because that kind of will cause the police to kind of harass you and mess with you.
Your gang in the
right,
large group.
right, absolutely. I tell them to be respectful. They wear their hoodies, and I'm concerned about that.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't be, but the reality is I am.
Yes.
And so I do have those conversations, and I am concerned about my boys.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And so with that question though, I feel like it's just so crazy that we're in a time where we have to have the conversation with the kids about what to say when you get pulled over, how to act when you get approached by an officer in the Lloyd Center or wherever, and even white kids, especially now in groups. Like if you are in a group past two people, they consider that to be a gang. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I do feel like there is a difference though, when you have a group of white boys versus a group of black boys. You know what I mean? Unless you got a couple of black boys in the group, then I feel like it could get a little different, a little shaky. You know what I mean? But have you ever just been in a group with your partners and you guys were approached?
Yeah, at Lloyd Center.
At the Lloyd Center.
Mm-hmm.
Or did they harass you?
No, at first it was just like they were just following, and then they're just like, you boys need help? Like, no, we good. Like, just shopping.
Yeah.
It's like any other people, and it's like I didn't see them going up to nobody else doing that.
Yeah.
You know.
Of course not. Of course they're not going up to anybody else. So that just brings me back to the Black Lives Matter situation. I feel like, does Black Lives Matter have power still? No, I don't think it does. I feel like it's been so watered down with everything that's been tagged onto it. All lives matter, white lives matter, blue lives matter, the gay lives matter. Like, all that stuff has been thrown in there to take away the sharpness of it. And so I feel like Black Lives Matter really don't mean nothing no more.
I feel like the only way Black Lives Matter will mean something is if when we say it, we feel it. Like when I say we feel it, like we feel it eternally, like in our souls, that we matter, that our lives have value. Until we feel that, when we say it, it's not gonna have matter. Cause you can just say a word, you can just say anything. But if you don't feel it, if you don't really if you're not really behind it, it's not gonna happen. It's not gonna matter.
So
it's not gonna have no weight behind it.
So you feeling like if you feel it, it'll have some oomph to it.
Yeah.
I don't agree.
You don't? Why not?
I don't agree because if that was the case when it first hit the pavement, when Black Lives Matter first hit the pavement, people felt that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it did have some power. But even with all the feelings in that, it was still taken away. You know what I mean? So I feel like it don't have it until we start loving ourselves, until we start knowing ourselves, until we start embracing each other as black people. I don't feel like it'll have any power.
But that's where consistency comes in.
Yeah, I've heard that, but even with consistency, we're not the only ones that are breathing. So with our consistency, everything that we've ever put our hands to as black people, and we've been consistent with it, it eventually fell off anyway,
Yeah.
because we don't have the power.
Yeah.
We don't have the money.
Mm-hmm.
We don't make the decisions. And so until we get into those areas
Yeah.
of workplaces where we have power, we have none.
No, I completely agree with you.
Does anybody disagree? No.
Man, I feel the power of the Black Lives Matter. You know what I see with all that hashtag All Lives Matter, man. I see people with stickers on their motorcycle that say Loud Pipes Matter. You know,
Yeah.
dumb stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's just, you know what I'm saying. You know,
They
I see-
dumbed it down.
I see that as a fear diversion tactic. The fear of a higher person, the fear of having to share,
Yes.
the equal care of what's going on with certain people. You know what I'm saying? So like that whole the all lives matter, man. Stop trying to get that validation.
Right.
Stop trying to get that thing from someone else. You know, let them have their thing. Let them have it because it matters. Their lives matters. They're not getting. You know, I'm not gonna get shot for no reason.
Right.
Period.
Right.
You know,
You're right about that.
all that kind of stuff. So it's like, I think it's jealousy, man. And jealousy makes greed, and it builds hate for the wrong reasons. And people start thinking they're passionate for the wrong reasons and start killing people without reason, you know. And man, it's got my skin like my skin and my heart pumping right now thinking about it, man. Because it's like, it's just I don't agree with it, man. Just let the Black Lives Matter still is an important to me thing.
Yeah.
You know, cause like, just like I said, people ain't gonna shot. You know, I'm not gonna get shot for no reason.
You're right.
You know, I'm not gonna be gunned down. You know, with my hands up, arrested because I'm white and I got tattoos or I got piercings. No, it's not fair. You know what I'm saying? With the All Lives Matter, man, I don't agree with it at all. It's one of the things that America has a problem with, man. It's jealousy and sharing and jealousy, man. It's like, man, why can't you just let people, their people, like your people, like it's unity in that, man. It's unity and strength in numbers, and it's powerful. And that's one thing that other people are afraid of, is power outside of their control.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, from my personal opinion and my personal view on things, man, is stop taking power away with distraction, you know, and the power needs to stay where the power needs to be, because that's just it.
Yeah.
And the All Lives and the hashtag other things and the stupid stickers that I see on people, like I just want to key the crap out of someone's motorcycle when I see that sticker on them. I've seen a bunch of them, you know. That's so dumb.
So how do you feel about when you see in a nice white neighborhood they got the Black Lives Matter in their yard?
When they like gentrifying Northeast
Yeah.
Portland.
You know, so I think that, you know what that is? I think that's camo. I think it's
exactly
fear.
what it
I think that's what it is. Oh, I don't want them to look at me like I don't believe it. But you know, nah, man. You know what you are? Is you're scared inside your perfect little gated community with your picket fence and your good job, your 9 to 5, and your kids with bows and ties and skirts and plaid and go to all these formal schools and stuff, man. You're afraid of what the real reality and all that kind of thing is, man. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they're in their own way with that.
I feel like it's an alarm system.
Exactly, man. It's like it's a diversion, man. It's
That's exactly
fake.
what it is.
It's basically, man. It's almost like a slap in the face.
Yeah.
You know?
I take it that way.
Yeah. Unless you have it and you mean it, don't. You know what I'm saying? Don't support. Like I don't wear these kind of clothes and have these tattoos on my face because I don't, it doesn't, it's false advertisement, man. I don't get it.
With me being a gay black woman, I could have went out there and been like, gay lives matter. You know what I mean? Because we are treated differently. And I've actually heard a gay person say, gays are the new blacks in America. And I got it. I understood it. I felt that. And I still feel that. But did I take that and run with it and say gay lives matter? I didn't do that because I don't want to take away from the whole purpose of what Black lives was supposed to stand for. You know what I mean? Like as soon as we take that black off of it and put anything, I don't care what you put on there, you took away from the point. It was a point that was trying to be made with these 3 young black ladies that put this together. It was a point made. You know what I mean? And they knew it, and they knew how powerful it was. The powers that be knew that this thing, if this thing get off the ground, we in trouble. It probably kind of reminded them of the Black Wall Street all over again, and they didn't want that to happen. You know what I mean? Like, how do you feel about that, bro?
Which part of that?
Just the fact that when you see those Black Lives Matter sticks in the white neighborhoods, and you know they don't really mean that when they have that in their yard.
I think it's to kind of piggyback on what you said, I think it is a diversion. I think it is fear in some capacity. I think it is trying to save face. But there are some that actually do support, but I think it's more than just having a sign. I think there has to be action involved. Because the truth of the matter is, in order for any movement on behalf of black people to get any traction, we're going to need the allies of whites.
Right.
We're going to need that. That's going to be essential for our progression.
Yes.
As a people. I think that's super important. I think also when it comes to does the Black Lives Matter movement still have power, I think there's fear there on our behalf, and we have to get to a point, I believe, to be more willing to sacrifice even more on some levels. Because the truth of the matter is, in order for us to really make headway, it's going to take sacrifice. And it's unfortunate, even saying that, it's unfortunate and it's hard to say because we've sacrificed so much already.
Yes, we have.
But that's been the only way for us to have any progress whatsoever. And that's why I say I think it's important for us to have the allies. I think we need those allies. We got to be honest about it. We got to be truthful. And I think that, because I know some whites that are true advocates, but I also know some that just say that to befriend me,
Right.
because they think that's what I want to hear.
Right.
And I've had several conversations like that, and I always have to call them out on that.
Right.
Don't pretend
Yeah.
to care about something you don't really care about. I'll respect you more if you're just honest with me. If I know where you stand.
Yes. So, thank you guys for being guests on the show. We love you for that. We appreciate your opinions, and I hope that you'll come back again.
Would I be able to chime in on that last little piece?
Yes, go ahead.
I mean, you asked the question, does Black Lives Matter still have juice? Or, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm not going to answer that for black people, but I think, did it ideologically change people?
Yeah.
Did it move the meter in people? I think it did. I think it changed some white people's minds about stuff. You know, there are the people who were like, I'm going to be this progressive liberal in Portland and put my Black Lives Matter sign up, you know, whatever, and do my thing and hashtag, whatever. You know, I have my own opinion about those people, but I think it changed me, you know, and then I carry that change into the workplace and And does that mean that I treat black people better than white people? No, it doesn't. It means I'm conscious about my thinking.
Okay.
And the way that systems treat different people and why, and I'm willing to look at it.
Yeah.
And be like, is this something that's happening? I think one of the biggest problems in our society, or any marginalized community, I mean, I'm spending all my time advocating for people who have addiction. I'm spending a lot of time because people are treated very bad.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm fighting for my people. You're fighting for your the LGBT community, and then within our own communities, there's differing opinions about how to move forward. And then I'm fighting with my own community.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm fighting over resources with my own community. And then I want to be like the coolest advocate. You know what I mean? And there's all these layers.
Right.
And so, I think that's one of the biggest struggles is like, how do I maintain unification with people who are just struggling to survive and to have the equal opportunity that is supposed to be granted to us constitutionally, you know?
Right.
And so I think, moving forward, for us to have these conversations and to really have conversations with people who do not think like us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That
so we
part,
can come
yes.
closer to understand
That's
what
what
other people are thinking. Like, why are you thinking that way? Why are you
Yes.
saying all lives matter? What is it? What's wrong?
Yes.
What's wrong? What's going on? I think that's important because we get segmented into our little bubbles, and then social media, I think, has exacerbated it. And so now we're all just like fighting, you know? And we just need to like sit down and break bread and talk about stuff until we can come to some common ground, you know?
I agree with that. I think that it's important that when you want something to work and you see that it wasn't working, you start from scratch. You break that thing all the way down and rebuild and try to make it, like, take what didn't work out of it and what did work, make that stronger. You know what I mean? And so I do like the fact that you said you was able to take something out of it, which was thought. You were able to think differently because of the Black Lives Matter movement. And that's important because hopefully other people left with that same mind frame. It's made you more alert and more aware, because one thing I believe that we struggle with as black people is we feel like y'all don't get it because you're not black. You know what I mean? You don't understand it because you didn't go through what we went through. You know what I mean? So it feels good to hear what you did take from me. You know what I mean? Because that matters to us. And then one other thing I'll say, just, as wrapping it up, when I did go, I went to the Black Lives Matter movement when it was downtown at the Pioneer Square, and I actually spoke. And I said what I said here is that I wish that black people could see what you guys see in us. You know what I mean? I wish that we could, because it would make all the difference. And so, and one other thing that I did get from that too is, I agree with you as well, that it's going to take more than just us to make that change. Because believe it or not, which I know you can believe because we're in Portland, Oregon, there was way more white people at that Black Lives Matter movement than it was black people. We were like a speck compared to the amount of white people that were there. I get it. Some people were hired to be there, you know what I mean, to interrupt what was going on because of the power that was in it. But nevertheless, they weren't all there all being paid. It was some there because they believed in Black Lives Matter. You know what I mean? So all glory be to God. I give God the glory with everything. I believe that as long as he's in the front of it, it's going to work one way or another. And I believe that if we all could change our mind and walk away with a changed mind, we can make a difference. You know what I mean? So again, like I said, thank you guys for coming. And I hope that you'll be able to come visit us again and be on the show again.
Absolutely. Thanks for
Cut.
having me.
I'm Angel Savage. Thank you for watching Purpose on Purpose. Let's talk about it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, beautiful world.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank y'all for tuning in to Purpose on Purpose. Thank y'all for tuning in to Purpose on Purpose. I'm Brandon Brown.
Kenneth Hughes. Thank you for watching Purpose on Purpose. Let's talk about it.
One.
Mama, here comes the man and that woman again. Thank you for watching Purpose on Purpose. Oh, that's dope.